In the name of Allah, Master Farad Muhammad. In the name of his messenger, the most humble and honorable Elijah Muhammad. I open up in the name of Allah in person. Allah doesn't just show up to befriend us. Allah shows up in person on time with a unique will, a will that some of us can't seem to fathom. Allah comes to exact justice on this planet that we call Earth because justice is due. Who but a just God? Who but a just God who is man can exact justice or render justice but a man himself? Allah comes in person after a great time of being hidden. And although he's in person, he is yet hidden to the majority of us. This is why we are here today, because we truly believe in the one who has came. We believe in the mission of that one, so we know just how dire it is. We build temples. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad needs ministers. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad needs a military. What good is finances? What good is economics? What good is farmland? What good is a school if you don't have a military to protect the nation's treasures? What is a nation without women? What is a nation without children? What is a nation without a military to protect those women and those children? This is why we here today. I open up in the name of Allah in person, who comes in person on time. The great separation before the great war of Armageddon. It will be a great separation. I open up in the name of Master Farad Muhammad, because Farad Muhammad is master of this day. He's master of the day of requital. He's master of the day of retribution. He's master of the day of survival, if you know how to choose. It's a great and dreadful day. The war is on. The war has been on. You have been distracted. You've been distracted with porn. You've been distracted with cocaine. You've been distracted with crack rock. You've been distracted with lean. You've been distracted with foreign women and foreign cars. You've been distracted with diamonds. You've been distracted with gossip. But we're here to tell you that it's a great and a dreadful day. Allah comes on time, in person. Not on a person, but in a person. The person is He, God Himself. See, to know that is to know just how dire of a time that we are living in. As does every Muslim open up every Muhammad's temple meeting in the name of Allah, so does every Holy Quran open up in the name of Allah. But the Muslim is specific. If you listen carefully to your speaker's open salutation, you'll become acquainted with who is Allah, who is Allah, not what is Allah, who is Allah. You'll become acquainted with who is Allah. Likewise, the Holy Quran is specific. If you read it carefully, hmm, if you read it carefully, the book acquaints you with a specific God of a specific time. This time is the present time. This time is the current time. This time is as if the prophets of the books had gone live from their smartphones as we watch their prophecies fulfilled in real time. This time, the right now, is referred to as the day of judgment or the day of requital. The God of this time is master of the day. Judgment is due. Retaliation is due. The God of this time comes in person on time to exact judgment. The God of this time comes after the enemy of God has shed the righteous blood of the people of God for the past 6,000 years to render retaliation to said enemy of God. Exodus 15:3 teaches us that the Lord is a man of war. We are at war because this man of war, the Lord, is in person to bring about reprisal, judgment to the enemy of the righteous. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, on page 32 of Message to the Black Man, warns us against allowing anyone to fool us. He said, this is the separation and the war of Armageddon. Armageddon, so teaches Messenger Elijah Muhammad, is the final war of judgment and separation of the righteous from the wicked. Oh, it's a dire time. The war of Armageddon is a holy war. And because it's a holy war, this war will involve all nations and all religions. All will be involved because only one will survive. Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches us that it is far more important to teach separation of the blacks and whites in America than prayer. This is a time of war. Separation is what this time dictates. I mean, this type of time, the scriptures teach us that there will be a great separation. Why a great separation? Why not just a separation? Because once the blacks are separated from the whites of America and are to themselves, they'll be blacks separated from blacks in America. Those of us who have decided to accept the truth of Allah through his messenger would unite under the banner of Islam. Those of us who've decided to reject the truth of Allah by denying his messenger will start up their own so-called black organizations. And that's fine. You're on time with your foolishness. But even under the holy flag of Islam, separation will commence still. There'll be those that'll go orthodox. There'll be some who and make subtractions. But see, all of this happens after the knowledge comes. Once upon a time, there was no knowledge. Negroes were just Negroes. Something happened in America in the early 1900s. This thing that happened benefited these so-called Negroes, and the enemy of these so-called Negroes, I'm talking about this Caucasian white devil. I'm talking about the Jewish devil. I'm talking about the Caucasian and the Jew are one people. We don't separate them here. We don't single out anyone. We stand on the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The devil is the devil is the devil is the devil. He's the devil. Wherever you find him in time or history or place. Talking about the great separation. This thing that would happen before the great war of Armageddon. See, Armageddon is brewing. We ain't seen nothing yet. We've got a glimpse in the scriptures. We got a glimpse over the past couple of world wars. But see, this war is the war that would end all wars. That's why it's a most dire time. That's why separation is necessary. That's why being able to see who's who and what's what. That's why Those things are blessings to know, to be able to see, to be able to discern. This is what the actual facts board is teaching you. The actual facts board is teaching you how to discern using actual facts. You see two flags there representing two nations. That informs you that these two nations are not the same. The two people who preside, live, operate, maintain under. The two people who are patriotic about their flags, they are different. These two flags represent two different things. It represents two different things because it represents two different people. The board is teaching you that your side is the right side, a correct side. When you go to the wrong side, their side, you find yourself hanging from the tree there. We're separate. The board is teaching you that we should be separate because on the right side is freedom, justice, and equality. On the left side, the west side, is slavery, suffering, and death. The Holy Quran teaches us that they were not divided until after knowledge had come to them out of envy among themselves. See, this is the great separation. Black people, the black nation, will yet be divided under the flag that represents equality. The Holy Quran says that they were not divided until after knowledge had come to them out of envy among themselves. When the knowledge came, they united on that knowledge. After the knowledge came, even while the messenger was present, additions and subtractions were being made. So division was already planted. That explains the great harvest of hypocrisy in the many fields calling themselves the Nation of Islam today. This is that time, the time of the great separation. Can two people walk together except they be agreed? An ageless question presented by the Bible. Well, can they? Can two people walk together except they be agreed? I think not, but actually know that the two will soon part ways. If you and I can't agree as Muslims on what the messenger taught and left us, How then can we walk or even soldier together? Separation. Holy Quran 4:5. The holders back from among the believers, not disabled by injury, and those who strive hard in Allah's way with their property and their persons are not equal. Now, as we just demonstrated, equality, we all know, is found in and under the mighty banner of Islam, the greatest and only flag known, brought to us exclusively by the mighty master, W.F. Muhammad, Allah in person. Yet here an obvious distinction is made between believers. The stay at home, push a button type, and the soldier out on the front line actually pushing the Muslim program type. The program presented by Messenger Elijah Muhammad, your messenger. The program for the original man. The program which he guarantees will pull the original man out of the mud of shame and ignorance, and has shown and proven it. Yet and still you reject it. That's fine. You are on time with your foolishness. See, we understand that this is the taxi cab era. We struck gold in Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to the brother Jawan X of Muhammad's Temple of Islam, number 15, Atlanta, Georgia, led by one Minister Eric Muhammad, out here heating these streets. All praises due to Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad for his messenger, the most humble and honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, it's on their behalf that we do this work. Success in Greensboro, North Carolina. 3 lost founds in the audience. If Master Farad Muhammad would climb a mountain 40 miles high to just teach one, then what are we willing to do to teach 3? All praise due to Allah. See, in my studies, what I found is that there are 2 types of soldiers where the practitioners of supreme wisdom are concerned. There's that solid soldier who belongs to the mighty FOI, not the Facebook of Islam, but the fruit of Islam. Then there's, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the soldier who, and I quote, pretends to work while actually doing nothing. Pretending via Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, but out in the field doing nothing at all. The lip professor speaks to show forth his knowledge and perhaps to persuade. But the soldier, the true soldier, he trains to maintain his discipline and strengthen his character. We are not equal in character, in our ways of soldier. We are not agreed. So a wedge is placed between us. Separation. And I'm with that. It's time. A distinction is made to believe in accord with the time of separation. If any of the believing men provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he have this he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Now that's 1 Timothy 5:8. Scripture reads, if any of the believing men. See, it's talking to the believers. We ain't talking to the infidel. We ain't talking to them yet. Hold on. We talking to one who say he's a believer. The scriptures say, if any of the believing men provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. There's some things that we are supposed to do. And if we don't do those things, then by show of action, we have indeed, in fact, denied the faith we say we stand on. So even marriages between believers will end in separation. The Son of Man says he'd take one and leave the other. Separation. The true followers of Muhammad are reminded to not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. And this is in 2 Corinthians. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? Hmm? See, when you exit Yaqub's world and come into Master Farad Muhammad's world, this new world that's coming in right now, you are taught true righteousness and what is true unrighteousness. What is truly unrighteousness? Who is the puppet master behind all unrighteousness? See, we are taught these things. So things that we used to see and didn't make too much of a fuss about it, we might throw a tantrum here and there. But see, today, those same things that we've been seeing all this time, we no longer fuss about it. We don't throw tantrums today. We separate today because we lose no time, no more time to get to a better way of life. It's the day of decision. You got that power today, black man. And what communion have light with darkness? We just did the light of truth, parts 1 and 2. We know what light represents. We know what darkness represents. A child knows that if you walk into a darkened room and hit the switch, if you paid your bill, the light comes on and destroys the darkness. The two can't coexist. You can't say you're this and act like that. We don't seek fellowship with Negro preachers nor white Catholic priests. Light has come to us from Allah in person to dispel all forms of darkness, wickedness, and unrighteousness. Do you bear witness or don't you? Idol worship is forbidden in Islam. So how could we ever befriend idolaters? The Bible puts it like this. And what agreement have the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. This is Bible. If we know this, then we move different. We are very selective with what we allow to enter our bodies. Now, that's biologically and mentally. Because if you're careful, what you allow into your body mentally, it could have you acting out of character emotionally. This is why we need the FOI. This is why we need FOI class. This is why we need FOI training. Because the men and the boys, there's an order that the men and the boys be made FOI and trained up fast to be brave fighters. We are at war. We ain't got time for you to be at war with yourself. Do I need to come and smack your face? Do you need some pneumonia that they, I don't know, that stuff that they use for the boxers on their nose and they, I don't, what do we need, black man? How long halt ye between two opinions? How long will you sit still trying to decide whether to get active or not? You watch these videos, you listen to these classes time after time, and yet no activity. These believers don't want no time. We trying to train men and boys up fast. The call that was put out from Cleveland was answered fast. The call that was put out from North Carolina was answered fast. This ain't about you. This ain't about us. It's about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and his God, Master Farad Muhammad. It's about those two because those two represent what you see on the actual facts board as well. When you look at the flag of Islam on the right, that represents Master Farah Muhammad. This is where he came from. He came from the east. He came to the west. On the left side of the board, this is where he found his messenger. This is where he found the lost sheep that lost God, tribe of Shabazz. That was the only merger that would exist between these two flags. One is going to come from this flag to the opposing flag to raise one who would go and pull the others up from the same mud where he was found. This is what we look at when we look at this actual facts board. There's a dead man buried in the flag of America. Allah is going to come and do what no one was capable of doing. He would pull one from the mud of the white man's society, not just in black bottom Detroit, but originally from Georgia. Oh, this man knows white people. He knows Christianity. He knows lynching. He knows hate. He knows the devil when he sees one. He knew God. Told God to his face, I know who you are. If you believe that and you didn't witness the conversation, I'd consider you a believer. But as a believer, we begin to study one another. The Holy Quran teaches us to judge by what Allah has revealed. The only Allah that ever revealed anything to the black man in America is Master Farad Muhammad. What he gave his messenger gave to all of us, black people, his people, God's people. We are to judge one another from what Allah has revealed. When we study one another as believers, we tend to pick out the things that are so small and irrelevant when work is getting done. We don't judge each other by the work that we do. We judge each other from the work that one is not doing, but sees another one doing it. This is the time. This is the day of confusion. Even the so-called believers would be confused today. Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the black man is God. So how dare any of these Christian preachers, Catholic priests, how dare any of them offer us a crucifix with a dead white boy's corpse? How dare you offer me a teaching which subjects the black man to the wicked white man? Separation. Separation. This is why separation is necessary. You won't corrupt the temples of Islam, nor the temple which are on the side of the head behind the eyes of the black man today. Yeah, black man, you have a choice today. Only those who choose will remain under the foot, under the knee of the white man. You have a choice to separate, stand up, and do something for self today. Allah comes in person to give us a purpose. You shouldn't expect the Nation of Islam minister to sound like anything else out here. If you ain't talking separation, you ain't talking about revolution. Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches us that this is the separation. This is the war of Armageddon. Do not let anyone fool you. That means don't lose focus and become distracted. Chinese general, what was his name? Sun Tzu. He said that the military is a tale of deception. It was true in the 4th century when he said it, and it still holds true today. They give us rappers and other entertainers to distract us, to deceive us. They dress them up in everything you dream of wearing but can't afford. They give them the money that you want to count and spend, and give them the cars you want to drive. Then they have them boast and brag about how up they are, though they ain't really up. They're actually asleep. They're deceived. They think they up. They think they up financially. That money ain't even worth nothing. Do you think they'll put that much money in the Negro's hand if it was respected around the globe? They're deceived. You're deceived. You ain't up. You sleep. Sleepwalking. They got us focused on the personal plight of Kanye West. Kanye or Ye. They got us focused on his personal struggle instead of the black man's plight overall in this land that is not ours. See, we're deceived. The scriptures say that we will be in a land not ours. This is why Allah comes in person from the east to the west. The scriptures say that we would be in a land not ours. We would be in that land for 400 years, receiving slavery, suffering, death, affliction, rape, robbery, all kinds of wicked mistreatment. They bring us to this land not ours. Beginning in 1555. Now in 2022, they free some of us, financially. They give some of us more than what the majority have. The same way the actual facts board has letters and images on it. This is the same way the white man dresses up the black man in America. He sends them out there with images of horses and ponies. Put the name Ralph Lauren on it. Put it on the black man. Let him walk around and advertise it. Make other black people want to spend some money too. Balenciaga, Gap, Adidas, Nike, Tom Ford, Gucci. They dress us up, send us out there, and now those of us who are easily distracted, we focus on that because deep down we really want that. Some of us want it so bad that we envy it, and if we catch that one slipping, we'll murder him on the spot. Talking about check in. Got your own people checking in. Them country singers don't check in. In fact, about it, when they check in, they checking in supposedly for the protection from people who look just like them. How did it come to this? But you up. They free some of us financially, though they enslaved us as one people. The land of hypocrisy. Kanye is the same one who said slavery was a choice. If slavery was a choice, Kanye, why have you chosen to remain a slave? See, slavery wasn't a choice. Slavery was prophesied. Slavery wasn't a choice for the black man nor the white man. Slavery was preordained. Just as God fulfills what is written of him to fulfill, so does the devil fulfill all that is written of him to do. The devil is the white man. Allah comes in person on the day of judgment to sever you from your enslavers, Kanye, and from that way of thinking. Slavery is a choice today, but not yesterday. So why choose slavery today? Why not do for self, black man? These professional athletes and entertainers are being controlled just like the Negro Christian preachers are being controlled. Their owners instructs them what to teach and how to perform. And the devil, the enemy, the white man, be it Jew or Gentile, pays them for their time. It appears, hmm, it appears that Kanye is smelling himself right now. Kanye has discovered his own bit of power and influence and has decided to exercise both. He really wanted to start up back when he said George Bush don't care about black people. That was his first attempt. But see, when you look at his posture, his demeanor then versus now, you'll see that it was much more timid. Today, he's much more confident and can even be labeled arrogant. And that's exactly how they view him. And that's exactly how they deal with him, like an arrogant, rebellious slave. How dare you? We gave you a pass and now you're trying to turn up and go harder? Huh? Playing devil's advocate real quick. But see, had Kanye said, hey, Jews, since y'all got everybody in the world feeling sorry for y'all for what was done to y'all by Hitler and his Nazis, why y'all don't seem to care for anybody else? Why y'all ain't helping poor, suffering black people in New Orleans? Especially since George W. Bush just gave y'all a few billion US dollars. Jews don't care about black people. See, had he said that, they would have counseled him then. But he fell back. And he only fell back because he was advised to. He fell back because they made him. How do you know? Because his Kanye brand remained the son of his white daddy's branded names such as Adidas, Balenciaga, Gap, etc. Kanye don't have a true purpose nor foundation yet. He's currently doing leg work, building up enough muscle to have or create something to stand on. He's all over the place trying to create something new. Trying to create something new to sell. He's trying to create something new to sell and the best white partner through which he can sell it. Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches us on page 196 of Message to the Black Man. Last paragraph. Just a quick bit of wisdom from the messenger. Purchase real estate, buy farm and timberland, convert the timber into lumber, and build homes for yourselves, as the white man is doing. Of course, he will have the authority over whether or not to sell the land to you. But he said, get clay land. With marsh clay land and hill clay, you can make your own bricks. Brick bricks are, he said, inexpensive. He said they are inexpensive to make once you get your own kindling built and and tracks laid. The greatest expense would be coal or gas to fire your bricks. Build brick homes for your own people and sell them to your people at a very reasonable price. You see, about building space boots, man bags, and blouses for men. That's why we need FOI class. Men have to be made, and Muhammad makes men. Muhammad is other than Messenger Elijah Muhammad. We stick to his protocol and we get the job done. We move accordingly because we bear witness to the time, the great separation before the great war of Armageddon. We bear witness to that time. You're not God and a Christian, Kanye. It's impossible. That's not consistent, Kanye. The temple of God ain't the church. It's the body of the original man, the Asiatic black man. Kanye, slavery was not a choice. It was written. You say Jesus is king? Well, his majesty told you that the Son of Man would come from the east to the west. He would come to the west. He will come to you, black man, after 400 years of what you call chosen servitude. After 400 years of what you deem chosen bondage and affliction. His job among you and I, so teaches his messenger, the most humble and honorable Elijah Muhammad, is to separate us from our enemies, from his enemies, and put us to ourselves. You see, we see and hear things differently because we know the time. We know the God of the time. We're in that field where Christians, Muslims, and so-called Jews can be found. That field is the battlefield, and this is the war of Armageddon. We don't trust integrationists. Too much compromise comes with integrating with your enemies. What's in the name? Everything's in the name. Integrity, character, ownership. Your brand, Kanye, yay, is in the white man's name. And your plight is how to keep it there, though they don't want it there currently. The morale, the lack of principle. Rather than build your own brand using your own name, you'd rather throw tantrums because Massa won't treat you better. Massa won't let you use his name, his media, his woman, and whatever else of his the way you feel you should be able to. That ain't nothing short of comedy. It's comedy because you're still a nigga. as we all are in the eyes of the white man, be it Jew or Gentile. All he sees is a nigga because all he ever made us was niggas. This is why Allah comes in person. He comes with this knowledge. He comes to undo what was done. See, we allow the trick knowledge of the enemy devil to be taught us. Beginning from some of us when we were born, being what, how you say that? I don't even know how to say that. Christian that you do to the baby. When the baby is born and you take it to the church and they go on and then they get real devilish with your child. It begins there, begins in front of the television set when we let them watch the little children shows that they create for us. When we send them to their schools. So by the time you will reach, adulthood, you have no self-worth. Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches us that he who won't treat you right most surely won't teach you right. They aren't treating you right because they aren't entitled to treat niggas. He mistreated you by making you a nigga, and he made you a nigga for the purpose of mistreating you. Give a nigga $1 million and he sees a United States president as the enemy. Give that same nigga $1 billion and he sees the so-called Jews as the enemy. Oh, it's levels to this thing, huh? The more he made, the more he was exposed to. Had he became acquainted with Elijah while broke and in Chicago, he would have reclaimed his original name, created his brand in that name, and been confident that he'd succeed. Kanye ain't crazy for what he's saying because he still ain't said nothing. It sounds that way when he's compared to cowards and good slave boys. But Kanye himself is still an integrationist. You'd still pass your black seed through the womb of a white woman. You just want her powerful white relatives to treat you as they treat themselves. That's ignorance at best. If you ain't talking separation, you ain't talking about nothing. Kanye claims Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. But if that were true, he'd render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, meaning give the oppressor everything that belongs to him and stand on your own. Give him his media, his outlets, his name, his brand, his white woman, his religion, his factories, his diet, his doctors, his educators, his politics, his cotton, his fabric. Full and complete freedom comes by way of separation, and nothing short of separation. Separation from the open enemy. You, Kanye, you said George Bush don't care about black people and declared yourself God. They gave you a pass. But see, when you target or single out the so-called Jews and declare Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, well, You've declared war. The Jews run the media. You know that if you was taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Jews just about everything else in the world. And the United States military is their muscle. You said, Kanye, and I quote, the guy's knee wasn't on George Floyd's neck like that. But that guy is the devil relative of the George whom you say don't care about black people. So is it possible that his knee was on our brother George's neck like that? The coroner tends to think so. Derek Chauvin's knee wasn't on George Floyd's neck like that, but his devil relatives sure have their knee on yours, don't they? His devil relatives teach in their Talmud that blacks were made by God to serve them as slaves. His devil relatives teach in their Talmud that Jesus and his mama both are boiling in extremely hot excrement right now for lying, quote unquote, about being the Son of God, especially because of Jesus's being black. You see, your mother was sacrificed, you say? Well, Jesus and his mama was sacrificed and are boiling in excrement like that of molten lava. How could you, as a black man, want any type of partnership with such an enemy? How could you, as a Christian, want any type of partnership with such an enemy of your Savior, whom you refer to as Jesus, King of Kings? We will not be fooled today. We will not allow false prophets to spring up within the Nation of Islam, nor in the world of entertainment to distract us, nor lead us astray. The prophecy of Jesus has been fulfilled at the coming of Allah in the person of Master Farah Muhammad and the raising of his messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The resurrection of the black man in the West after 300 years is in fulfillment of Jesus being raised up on the third day. We don't need these rappers and entertainers to try and slither their way into scripture to get us to keep them relevant and rich. Well, all these rappers want to play like they being crucified. You ain't being crucified because you haven't even taken up a cross. You just being whipped by your slave master, that's all. Before you can take up your cross, you must render unto Caesar all that is Caesar's. That means name, religion, church, God, faith, diet, spouses, etc. I read somewhere once that not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some storms come to clear your path. This is the separation. And this is the war of Armageddon. There's a great separation taking place, and a great war is brewing. This is the lull before that great storm, black man. Allah sent the first storm to awaken you from that lull. He sent that first storm to clear your path to true freedom, justice, and equality. He came to clear the path back to yourself. The second storm, though, the second storm is the final storm. That storm disrupts your life to the point of termination. Cut off from the righteous throughout eternity because you failed to separate. You failed at choosing correctly on the board, the actual facts board. This is the separation. This is the great separation before the great war of Armageddon. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.